Okay, so starting off, The Howling is not a film series that I grew up with, really. It's not a film series that I discovered until about a year ago. So, discovering the original Howling is new to me. With that, I really like to watch film series in order. So, from 1 to 2, 3, 4. I really don't like watching films or watching like the fourth film in an installment and not having seen like the third, for example. So going into Howling 3, which is what I'm reviewing, I haven't seen 2. I know that it's a comedy, kind of like horror comedy. I have seen The Howling, it's fantastic, the original Howling. And I know Howling, not Halloween, Howling 3 goes into the comedic route as well. So I kind of know what to expect from the second one, and I also know that there's not much continuity, so it doesn't bug me that much, because the first one is taken completely seriously, and then the second Howling is basically a comedy, and then The Howling 3 is a mix between comedy and horror. So, I found the Scream Factory edition, and I picked it up because I found it really cheap, and I gave it a shot, and here's my thoughts. I was expecting more comedy. This film plays out more on the horror side, not completely on the horror side because it's fucking ridiculous, but more on the horror side than I thought it would, because I expected this to be like a Gong Show, like completely like complete comedy, complete ridiculousness, and it has some horror elements. So it's not just it's not a complete shit show, basically. Like, it's not Airplane. Let's put it that way. The score reminded me, as soon as I put it on, the score reminded me of Child's Play. It seemed like the same guy who did the score for Child's Play did the score for this, and that it's really creepy. Like, the strings are similar. The the score is very similar to Child's Play, and that's the first thing I noticed in this film. It was just like, this sounds like Child's Play. Like, it almost sounded like the same score. Um, that's the first thing I thought of as soon as I popped this Blu-ray, and it was like, yeah, that sounds like Child's Play. But other than that, I found, like I said, it's a good mix between horror and comedy. It's a really good mix, actually, and being somebody who hasn't seen the second film, I wonder if the second film, because I heard both were comedy, or went more onto the comedic side, but I mean, the scene where they're in the movie theater and they're watching a film, a werewolf film. they're they're watching a werewolf film called "It Came from Uranus," and the transformation scene in the film within the film, because they're watching a film in the movie theater called "It Came from Uranus," and the transformation in that film. I mean, okay, the the werewolf transformation scenes in this film. Have you ever seen Sesame Street? You know Big Bird, where his mouth goes like this? It's like, hi, Bart, or whatever. Okay, the werewolves are like that, except bloody teeth, and they flap like that. That's the werewolf transformations in this film. That's how ridiculous they are. That's how entertaining they are. That's how much I love them. Need I say more? Like, I just sold you the movie. Either you're gonna think it's hilarious, or you're gonna think this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. And most of you are gonna say that this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. You're gonna be like, what the? You spent 2 hours on that shit? Yeah, I spent 2 hours on that shit. Anyway, a lot of this film involves Australian natives, which blends heavily into the plot, which I think is awesome because they really blend it really well too, and they really make something of it instead of just, you know, let's make it as Australian as we possibly can. No, they weave it really well, and the director weaves it really well. There's a scene that involves charred skeletons, or sorry, charred werewolf skeletons, which I thought was extremely effective and extremely well done. They like it was perfect basically. So I thought I would basically mention that. But other than that, it was, I mean, for a Scream Factory release, it was pretty great. There was a scene at the beginning that involved some werewolf nuns. Basically, they were werewolves disguised as nuns, and I really didn't feel like that was going to add anything to the film. But as the film progressed, it took me by surprise because it really did add to the plot, and like I said, it's hard to, because at the beginning it felt like it was pointless, but at the end it kind of wrapped it all up. But there's also a scene involving those werewolf nuns that, again, this goes back to the whole flappy thing. Like, there is scenes where it's like Muppets. It's werewolf Muppets. Like, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's fucking flappy mouths, like, you know. Okay, here's the best way to describe it. You know the filters on Snapchat where you have the little doggy nose? It's that. It's that on screen. But it's supposed to be horror. So it's supposed to be a horror movie, but you're like, I I I don't know. That was probably part of the comedy, but to think about it today, because it's a little bit dated. I mean, when did this come out? 1987. So I was -2 years old when this film came out, and I loved the shit out of it. So I will give it a, like, I really enjoyed it. I suggest you check the Howling 3 out. I am trying to find the Howling 2 on any form of media. I don't even care if it's VHS. But they definitely gave this one a good Scream Factory release. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. So that's my review for the Howling 3. And until next time, that's my review for today. Cheers.